Most of the standards in your business, they're not standards. They're you. And I want to say that again because it took me way too long to see it in my own companies. Most of what you call our standard, the way the work gets done, the bar it has to clear before it goes out the door, a lot of that isn't built into the business at all. It's built into you. It lives in your head. It runs on you being there, noticing, catching it, and saying something. And the day you're not there, it's gone. Not because your people are bad, because there was never anything for them to hold on to except you. Here's the test, and it's a hard one. Think about the thing that you're most proud of in how your business runs, or the quality, the way you treat a customer, the way a job gets finished right. Now picture yourself gone for 3 weeks. No phone, no checking in, nobody can reach you. Does that standard hold, or does it start to slide the minute that you stop watching it? If it slides, it was never a standard. It was your presence doing the work. Now, quick thing on that word standard, because I want to make sure, I don't mean standard like average, the baseline, whatever's normal around the place. I mean it in the way you mean it when something's bugging you. The bar the work has to clear before it goes out the door. Your non-negotiables, the stuff that's supposed to be true every single time. Could be a great week, a garbage week. Doesn't matter. So you can call it your standard and call it your non-negotiables. It's the same thing to me. It's the bar. And that bar is what we're going to build so it holds when you're not there. By the end of this, you're going to be able to take one standard that you care about, just one, and turn it into something that holds without you in the building. Something a person you hired last month could hit on their own. Something that you or somebody besides you could check in 5 minutes without guessing. You'll leave with a simple way to tell a real standard from a fake one and the exact steps that it takes to build one that survives you walking away. I'm not talking about a list of what's broken. But this is something I want you to walk away with that you can build this quarter. I'm Scott Joseph. This is Business, Bourbon, and Cigars. I've spent more than 3 decades building and running companies, growing them, scaling them, buying them, selling them. And these days I run a leadership group called Me Plus Ultra. I'm not telling you this from the outside. I built businesses for years, where the standard was me. I'd walk a location. I'd see things that nobody else saw. And I used to feel good about that. I thought, well, I just have high standards. It took me way too long to understand what it really meant, that my whole business had one quality control system. And it was a guy who couldn't be in 2 places at once. That's not a standard. That's a bottleneck. I'll tell you the other half too. I've had standards in my companies that held through major leadership changes, that held through me removing myself from all the day-to-day activities. I'm talking about for good. They all had 3 things that were built into it. The ones that didn't hold were the ones that were just still me. And that's the difference that we're going to build today. So here's where we're headed. First, I'm going to tell you about an owner that I watched go through this. It's a good operator and a good company. A standard everybody knew. Right up until he left for a couple of weeks and it fell apart in his hands. Then I'll give you the 3 tests that'll tell you whether a standard is real or whether it's just you. And then the build. How you take one fuzzy expectation and you can turn it into something that you can see, teach, and check. By the end, you'll have picked your one. I have to tell you about a guy, and I'll keep this anonymous because it came out of some of our sessions with Me Plus Ultra, and those are confidential. But he runs a specialty trade sub. His whole business comes from general contractors. The GC wins the project, and his crews, go do their piece on the GC's job site, call it $18 million in revenue. Like I said, sharp owner. Cared about the work more than anybody on his payroll. And here's the thing about his world. He doesn't have, clients who come back on their own. He has GCs and GCs talk. And by the way, if you're not familiar at all with what a GC is, in the construction vertical, that stands for general contractor. And the next job comes from a super, right? Supers run the project for the GC. So those next job, they comes from the super because that person liked working with your crew and then mentions your name to the next super. Or, and this is the part they don't want, right? They put you back on the bid list without thinking twice. So how his crews, showed up on somebody else's site wasn't some nice to have thing. It was the whole engine. So he had a standard. He was very proud of this. Every crew finished projects on time and left every site cleaner than they found it. Tools were packed, area swept, nothing left behind. A quick walkthrough with the GC super before they pulled off the site. He'd been saying it for years. So literally bragged about it. I mean that in a good way. We leave it better than we found it. It was on their wall. It's in their onboarding. Everybody could recite it. And it worked. For a long stretch, it worked. Supers talk and they noticed. His name got passed around. It was a serious edge in a trade where most subs leave a mess for somebody else to deal with. Then he took his first actual vacation in years. 3 weeks, mostly off the grid, because he'd finally hired an ops lead that he trusted, and he wanted to prove to himself that he could step back. So he comes home to a couple problems that he couldn't ignore. Super had called, hot. It was all about a unit his crew left full of scrap and debris, and a GC he'd worked with for years just went with somebody else on their next project. Didn't even call him for a number. And the thing that got him really wasn't the complaints. It was talking to his own crews about it. Because when he asked what happened, they weren't defensive. They were confused. One of the newer guys looked at him and basically said, I didn't know that was like a rule. I thought that was just how you like things. I want to sit with that for a second. That's just how you like things. Years of saying it. It's on the wall. It's in the onboarding. And a guy on his crew heard all of it as a preference. The owner's taste. Something you did when the boss was around because the boss cared about it. It's funny and not funny all at the same time. Because the standard he was proudest of turned out to be the one most really made of him. The stuff that was actually built into the process, the safety steps, the billing steps, the parts that had, a form and a checkbox and somebody whose job was to look, that held the line while he was gone. It was the finish on time and leave it better than you found it. The thing he cared about the most, the thing he repeated the most that fell apart. That's what it didn't work because it never left his head. He said it 1,000 times and built it 0. And here's the part that I want you to really hear. His people weren't the problem. They didn't get worse when he left. They just stopped getting his corrections in real time. He'd been the quality control system. He's walking the sites. He's catching things. He's mentioning it. He's fixing it on the spot. You take him out and there was nothing underneath. No floor. It's just him. No safety net, right? That's the moment that a lot of owners, I'd say, get wrong. They come to that and think the lesson is, I can't leave. Or maybe I need better people. And they're wrong both times. The lesson is that a standard that only works when you're watching was never doing the job you thought it was doing.
Right now, you're juggling every decision, putting out fires, and trying to grow your business on your own. Every day feels like a grind, and no matter how hard you push, the breakthrough you've been chasing seems like it's just out of reach. You don't have the right perspective, or maybe the network to see the opportunities waiting for you. The Business, Bourbon, and Cigars Leadership Retreat is your chance to change that. Imagine being in a room with entrepreneurs who have already overcome the challenges you're facing, leaders who have scaled, innovated, and found the clarity you're searching for. Through our mastermind style sessions, you're going to gain actionable strategies and the opportunity to connect with active Me Plus Ultra members. These aren't just networking contacts. They are entrepreneurs who think strategically, spot opportunity quickly, and can provide insights that accelerate your growth. This experience allows you to see firsthand how high-level leaders solve problems, create momentum, and unlock opportunities so you can leave the retreat not just with a plan, but with a network that expands your possibilities faster than you ever thought possible. The first 5 people to apply at meplusultra.com/BBC50 is going to receive 50% off their ticket. Don't wait. Secure your spot now and step into a space where real business breakthroughs happen.
So how do you tell the difference? How do you know if a standard is real, built into the business, or if it's just you walking around being the standard? There's 3 tests. Run any standard that you've got through these 3, and you'll know exactly what you're holding. And more important, building these 3 in, that's exactly how you turn a fuzzy expectation into something that holds when you're gone. So let's talk about test number 1. Is it observable? Observable means you can see it, not feel it, not sense it, see it. We leave it better than you found it is not observable. It's a vibe. Better than what? Better how? 2 people will picture 2 different things. So I want you to compare that to before the crew leaves, the floor is swept, the tools are on the truck, and a photo of the finished space gets uploaded. There's something to look at now. You know, a stranger could stand in that room and tell you yes or no. I want you to write this down. If you can point at it, you can hold anyone to it. A standard that nobody can see is just a hope with good intentions. Most of what owners call standards, they die right here. You know, take care of the customer, do quality work, own it. They're good values, but terrible standards because there's nothing to see. You're asking your team basically to read your mind. And then you get frustrated when they read it wrong. And this isn't just crews and job sites. It shows up in every kind of business. Law firm says, you know, we're responsive. What does that mean? To the owner, it means a client hears back the same day. To a second-year associate, it means I'll get to it when I get to it. Same word, 2 completely different bars. Make it observable. An argument goes away. Every client message gets a reply within 3 business hours. And I'm on it. You'll have an answer by Thursday. That counts as a reply. Now nobody's guessing what responsive means. They can look at their inbox and know. You know, test 2 is a teachable. Teachable means somebody who started last month can learn it without you in the room. If the only way to learn the standard is to follow you around for a year and soak up your taste, it's not teachable. It's almost like you're an apprentice, you know, to your personality, or they are an apprentice to your personality, I should say. That owner in the story I told earlier, his standard was learnable exactly one way. Be around him long enough to catch what he catches. That doesn't travel. You can't clone yourself onto a 5th crew. A teachable standard has words and examples that any normal person can follow. Here's what done looks like. Here's a photo of a job site that passed. Here's one that didn't, and here's why. Now a new hire, you know, on day 3 knows the bar without ever meeting you. The knowledge stops living in one head and starts living in the business. And that one page does something you don't expect. It ends the argument. When the bar lives in your head, every correction feels personal, like you're picking on someone or like they're pushing back on your taste. When the bar is written down with a passing example sitting right next to a failing one, the correction stops being about you at all. You're both just looking at the same page. The work either matches the example or it doesn't. It's a much easier conversation to have, and it's one your ops lead can have without you. And then finally, the test 3, right? Is it inspectable? If you really think, this is the one that people skip, and it's the one that makes the whole thing real. Inspectable means there's a specific moment, a time, a place, a person where somebody checks whether the standard got hit. Not you walking around random, hoping to catch it. A built-in point where the checking happens whether you're there or not. The bar isn't set the day that you announce it. It's set the first time someone misses it and nothing happens. I want you to think about that. You can say the standard all you want. Your team learns the real standard by watching what happens when it slips. If it slips and there's no moment where anyone notices, you just taught everyone that the real bar is whatever you can get away with when the boss isn't looking. An inspection point fixes that. In that owner's business that I mentioned earlier, it became a 15-minute thing every Friday. His ops lead, once again, not him, pulls up a handful of random job site photos from the week and checks them against 4 things: job completion date, area swept, tools packed, walk through with the super done. 15 minutes. Somebody besides the owner every week, whether he's in town or he's not. And notice who's doing the checking. Once again, I want to keep emphasizing this, not the owner. That's the whole point. The first time the person you put in charge of that standard holds the line without you, catches a bad site, sends a crew back to fix it, and you don't even have to hear about it until Friday or maybe the next week, that's the day the standard became real. That's the day it stopped being you and started being the business. Now let's talk about the build. You got to pick your one. Here's how you actually do this. And I want to keep it small. Pick one standard, the one you care about most. And it's probably the one that you're always correcting. The thing you keep catching that nobody else catches. That's your tell. The thing you personally keep fixing is the thing that lives in you and nowhere else. And I want you to be honest about which one it is. It's usually not the flashy thing. It's the small, specific stuff, that you've given up on ever getting anyone else to care about it the way you do. You've probably stopped even asking. You just fix it yourself and you move on because in your mind, it's just easier that way. It's the non-negotiable that never actually made it out of your head and onto the floor. That one, the one you've accepted will always be yours. That's the one worth building. Because right now it's pure you. Then run it through the 3. Make it observable. Write down what done actually looks like and things a person can see. Make it teachable. 1 page, 1 good example, 1 bad one that a new hire reads on day 1. Make it inspectable. Pick the moment it gets checked. Pick the person who checks it and make sure that person is not you. The last piece, this is where the courage lives. Because the second somebody besides you is doing the checking, you have to let their yes mean yes. You have to stop being the safety net. If you keep rechecking everything behind them, you've just added a step. You're still the standard. Now you just have extra paperwork. You don't raise a standard by saying it louder. You raise it by making it something a stranger could check on a Tuesday without calling you. Do that with 1 standard this quarter, just 1. Watch what happens. You'll get a little of yourself back. The part of your week you spend being the quality control system, and the business will hold a bar it used to need you to hold. And here's the quiet payoff. Nobody tells you about this. Once you've built 1 standard that holds without you, your best people feel it. A clear bar that they can actually hit is one of the biggest reasons that good people stay. Nobody great wants to work in a place where the rules live in one guy's head and just kind of shift around with their mood. A standard they can see and hit is a gift to the very people you're trying to keep. A standard that you have to be in the room to enforce isn't a standard. It's just your personality. And your personality walks out the door with you. So here's the honest question to leave with. What's the one standard in your business that really is just you? You know the one. It's the thing you keep catching. Go build that one this quarter. Make it observable, teachable, inspectable, and hand the checking to somebody else. And if you want to see what this looks like, with a whole group of owners building at once, where the bar for how you think and decide is high because everybody around the table holds it, not one person. That's a lot of what happens at the Business Bourbon and Cigars Leadership Retreat. It's 2.5 days with a group of serious owners and leaders working on the hard stuff. I'm talking about the standards, the people, the decisions that you can't quite get right on your own. You bring the thing you keep having, to be in the room for, and this group is going to help you build it so it holds without you. And you leave with a plan that you can actually install, plus a set of relationships with people who will keep pushing you long after you go home. I've got an offer for you today. The first 5 people watching or listening to this episode are going to get 50% off a ticket to the next retreat. Listen, we keep this room small for a reason, so the seats go fast. Go to meplusultra.com/BBC50. That's meplusultra.com/BBC50, or click the link in the show notes to grab your 50% off code and lock in your seat. One last thing before you go. The reason this matters isn't the swept floor or the uploaded photo. It's what those things buy you. Every standard you build so it holds without you is a piece of your business that no longer needs you, and a piece of your week you get back. You do that enough, and one day you're going to look up and you've built something that runs on more than just you being there. That's the whole game. Pick your one. Build it this quarter. I'm Scott Joseph. This has been Business, Bourbon, and Cigars. Cheers, everyone.